we're going to do a walkthrough of the PWR College and Career Pathway Endorsement Platform. This is a guide to walk you through the process and show you where you can input your information and what you need to be looking for. This follows along with an updated guidebook that will be posted on the website as soon as the completion of this video occurs. So I just want to start off with the home page, which is when you first log in. And you can see here it's very simple. If you look at users, what you should see is just those users who are tied to the organization that you're tied to. So again, for my purpose, I did a demo 123. That's my organization that I'm tied to. So anyone else that's listed as tied to demo 123 would show up under the users tab. You'll notice that there's an invite. That option is not functional within the system. You can click on it and it appears that it would take you right through the whole and do a preview and then send the email out. However, that function does not work. So you can get to that as well here with the invitations, and you can see here's where I actually sent an invitation to myself from ISB through our access into this platform. And you can see that I accepted that. But you do not, any of the users tied to your organization, you do not have the option to do an invite. Again, it appears that you can, and it makes it seem as if an email has been set, but that function is not available currently. So for any of you who need to add a user to the platform for your organization, you'll just need to email ISB and let them know, and we can update that and add that person and send them their own link, which is how you joined in the first place. So again, if we click on organizations, you'll see the name of the organization that you are affiliated with. In some cases with our career coordinators or our CCPE coordinators, they may have multiple organizations listed. You can update the information. This is just pulled from your initial application, but I have been known to incorrectly enter in a phone number or whatnot, or you can add a website if you choose to do so. So if I needed to change it, say I wanted to go back and the address was incorrect, I can change it there and then hit save organization, and you'll see that it comes up here saying that everything's been saved. You can also see the users that are listed for that organization. So that's one way. I'm not sure about the functionality of the add user. I've seen where it has worked before, but typically that needs to come from ISB again. So we can go in at the admin level and add those users for you. So that's the organization tab. I'm going to skip the plans right now and go to system resources. The first one is institutions. So here's where you have a list of all of the institutions, and this is accumulated from any of the users across the board, even those you don't have access to with the organization. And you can see the institution name, the address, and the programs. So for the purpose of today, I'm going to be building out an education plan through Lincoln Land College. So I'm going to hit the filter button, and I'm going to search to see if Lincoln Land is there, and they are. So I'll click on that. If for some reason, let me go back one. If for some reason they were not there, you're going to add whatever institution it is that you're affiliated with. So this is going to be the post-secondary college or university, community college that you're working with for dual credit or for some of the work-based learning or whatnot. That's where you're going to add your institution information. So again, all of your plans have to be aligned to the program that is found at the community college that you're working with. And that'll come into play when we start to build your plans. But here's a way to add your institution. So since Lincoln Land is already there, and you can see they have a list of programs that someone has already entered. However, none of these programs is for education. So we're going to add those. So I'm going to click on Lincoln Land. And you'll see they have all the information here, and scroll to the bottom. So I would again ask you to save once you've done that. Then you can come back in, and as we know, there is no education programs. So I'm going to hit new program, And I'm going to name this, and if you look here, I pulled this up. I went to Lincoln Land's page and I looked for education. So there's two different degrees that you can get with an emphasis. So you have elementary education with an associate in arts and secondary education with an associate in arts. So if I go back to my platform, I'm going to call this elementary education. I'm going to create the program, and now I'm going to create the secondary education, because those are two options that we have with our coursework. So you'll notice here that the credentials part is not complete. So once you've entered in your program name, and I would call them exactly what it is called within your community college. So if you look at their programs, that's how I found these. I just went in to see what the options were. You would want to call it that specific title that the community college is calling it. So in this case, pretty simplistic with the elementary education and secondary education. And you can see you end up with an associate in arts. So when we go back here, I click on elementary, I need to add my credentials. So we will do a type, as you can see here, and I would just mimic that. So now you have that there for elementary education. You're going to hit Save Program, and then we will hit Cancel. That'll take us back here. I'm going to scroll down. You can see now it's there. And secondary, same thing, adding a credential. And associates, and create the credential. So now we have that entered, Save Program, and now we have that entered. And you can see you get pop-ups here telling you that the information has been saved. You're always looking for that green checkbox. So we'll hit Cancel, and now when we look at Lincoln Land, we can see all of the programs that are available. And again, these are going to be tied to your plans once we get into that tab. So it's very important to make sure that you have this information here. Now, if you're building your plan and you have forgotten to do this, it does provide you the opportunity to create the institution and the plans and so forth. But this is just one step that you can do separately from your plans, which will store all of that information for you. So those are the ways that you fill that out under System Resources. If you look at employers, this is a list, again, that is accumulated from all the users that have done, have inputted information into the platform. So this is a list of all the employers that they have. We're just going to go down to this, and you can see it has the information here. It's pretty simplistic with what you need to do. You can, if you need to add something new, for the education plan, for example, with maybe the career development experience, I might put the elementary school in here, something along those lines. But this is a way for you to add employers. So again, you can link them further in your plans. And once again, if you have forgotten to do this, there is an opportunity within the plan building that would allow you to come back to this page and create employers for you. Resources is not something that we need to worry about right now. This is stuff that I've been working on that's pulling from the plans, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Demand occupations, again, this is pulled from the plans that I'm starting to create. And then the glossary just has definitions of terms. Now, this has not been updated since the launch of this platform. So some of the things in here may be a little different now, and this will be updated within the new platform, but it does provide you with a baseline for example, the definition of that career development experience or the career exploration activity and so forth. So now we've gotten through those main components, and we're going to take a look at plans. So here's plans that I was just kind of doing in demo mode just to walk through this, but we're going to actually start from the ground up and build a new plan. So I'm going to hit new plan, and yes, I already have an education, so I'm going to call it something new. When it gets to, so this general plan info should not be your endorsement area. It should actually be the name of the career. So in this case, mine is just education. It could be CNA, it could be social work, especially social work, say, and education. They're both going to fall under human and public services, but I want you to build out separate plans for every career. So think of this as like a career plan, and you could have multiple career plans that fall underneath or receive the same endorsement, but make this unique because the coursework is going to be unique for that. So you need to separate that out. For the school, you can start to type in the name of the school, and that should show up. So I've had some that say, well, I can't add more than one school, but you can. Once you've entered that, we'll just start to type something and see what comes up. And see, you can do multiple schools as you go. So that is an option. So you can scroll down to find the school, or you can start to type, for example. So that provides you the opportunity to identify the schools that would be eligible to receive the education endorsement in human and public services. So keep in mind that you're entering this at the district level. Your organization is going to be the district, but the plan info talks about which schools can actually receive that. In many cases, there are some districts that have multiple high schools, and maybe the coursework looks a little different for those different schools when it comes to their plans, or maybe it's just a few of the schools within the district, high schools, that allow the endorsement opportunity. So that's why there is the drop down for the schools that can receive that as well. So once again, it's going to start off in draft mode, and I've selected my endorsement area, and now I'm going to create my plan. So you can see here I had already done one, and you can tell the status. So this has 4 out of 6. That means there's 6 major components that you need to identify, and I've only, in this case, done 4 of the 6. And here's the one I just created. You can see I'm at 0 out of 6. So here's a good example. We have education here, receiving the human and public services, and then fire science, which is also human and public services. You do not want to create a human and public service over here and then put education and fire science underneath that, because when this gets approved by ISB or reviewed by ISB, if there was an issue, something that needed to be changed with the education pathway, I would not be able to approve the entire thing. I would not be able to approve fire science if it was, for example, listed underneath as well. So that's why you want to keep these separate out, even though we've got multiple that are in human and public services. So we'll jump into the education test, the one that we've just created, and we'll start to enter info. So here is your general plan info. Again, education test. So this is going to be your title of the career, and this is all saved. Here's something interesting, I think, especially for those of you who already have plans in the system and want to, say you've added someone in, a user that's tied to the organization, but they're saying, well, I don't see any of the plans that, what am I under, demo 1, 2, 3 has done here. This could be because if they've been added later than when this actually started, than when the plans were built, rather, they may not show up here. So if you have that user, you can add the user, as long as they're tied to your organization, you can add the user here, and then that would allow them access to the plan. So that's something to note. And then this is just an approve item, which we'll get back to once we complete our plan. So now this is something different that we're doing based on the webinar that was on December 9th. We talked a lot about what needs to be updated, what needs to be submitted for plan approval. We'll jump into labor market information here, and we'll start with the resources. So in the new system, the way that this is going to be done is that it's a summary statement that talks about the need for this career pathway. So why are we actually offering this? So prior to this, as you can see here, you had to either do a URL or you had to do a file upload, which talks about why there was a need for this. My suggestion to you, and what I'm actually going to do, is we're going to do a file. And the file is going to provide that summary statement that can then be copy and pasted into the new platform that we're building out in iWiz. So we're just going to do file, and I'm going to choose a file. And I've actually looked here. So this is my education labor market resources. So I'm going to open that, and I'm going to put that there. And that is going to have that document, and you can see it automatically puts the name in there. You can leave it as is. And then the description, what I would ask you to do is to essentially put that same information that you've typed in the file into the description. So this is just a sample. I think that, let's see, if I actually go to that file, I think we'll just keep it the way that it is now. So whatever you have typed into the file, which answers the summary statement, which is going to be in the guidebook, when it talks about what, it's like I said, it's a summary statement that says broadly describe labor market workforce needs for this career pathway in which an endorsement is being offered. So in this area here, I would expect to have the response to the summary statement. So that way you've got it in two spots. You have the file uploaded here, which has that information. It could just be a Word document that you have there. That's all I created. And then you also have that in the description. And you'll notice you have the asterisk here saying that that's a required field. There is not one here for description, but I would still encourage you to put that summary statement here, whatever it is that you typed into your file. And now we're going to create resource. And you can see now that this has gone to a green check mark. The is in network and is public, it means that when it is in public view, that this information would show up. So that's your option as to whether or not you want to have that selected. It's not required at all. The other component that's required within a pathway plan is an individual plan. And we don't currently have anything in the system, as I'm trying not to scroll too fast, we don't have anything in the system which talks about the student's individual plan, what that looks like, how that information has been gathered. That will, however, show up in the new platform. So we will have those types of questions there. So this is a good opportunity as well to add information regarding those questions, which again are going to be in the guidebook that goes along with this. So I'm going to do the same thing here. This is under resources. It's the only spot in here where I can actually add this file. And I'm going to add a file again. And when I choose file, you'll see I've got my individual plan summary. I've already typed that up. So I'm going to put that in. I'm also going to copy whatever text that is within that document down into the description. And this summary includes questions like, how are students supported with comprehensive post-secondary and career planning? Where are you collecting and storing this information? What are the various roles that are responsible? We don't need the names, but just the role for the work related to the students' career goals, for their work related to their post-secondary plans, regarding the financial aid and literacy planning. So those questions need to be addressed and answered, and then very easily you can upload this here. So when we make the transition to the new platform, you already have that information here. This is not required. This is just an example of how you can get this started now, so that when we make that transition, you don't have to go back and answer those questions again. So this is one way to update and input the individual plan summary. So now, again, we're done here. So now we need to address the X here for the in-demand occupations. So I'm going to hit add occupations. And for this, I'm going to just say a secondary teacher. You do not need to worry about the code. And I'm going to create the occupations. And then I'm going to add another, because I also have the that option. And now we're green for that component. So for the labor market review, you've got your resources and your in-demand occupations that are related to that career. So again, I chose not to put any of my resources in as far as a URL or evidence of that, and instead did that summary statement regarding why we're offering an education pathway for our students. And then I've also uploaded the information on the individual plan summary. And I've listed out my occupations. So now we come to the bulk of your building, which is your pathway. So we're going to, again, we've titled this Education Test. That's the name of your plan. The name of your plan and the name of your pathway should be the same. So I'm going to hit Add Pathway, and I'm going to call it exactly the same. And I'm going to create a pathway. So now we have it, and again, there's that dreaded X that we have in there. So we're going to hit Edit, and we're going to add in our information. So which schools have the pathway? You can click this, which identifies that all those schools that we listed in the plan itself are having the same. There's not an option here to add any schools, so you can leave that alone. You don't have to worry about that. This is an important feature here, Save Pathway. You're going to use that quite a bit. So we'll start with the regional post-secondary programs. And again, we've got the X, so we need to fix that. So add post-secondary programs. So this is when we were talking earlier about the institutions and what needs to be tied to this. So we know that we're tied to Lincoln Land. So here it is, Lincoln Land. And then when you do program name, you can see here, there's our two options. If we hadn't done this, you're going to have to click on Add Institution and start that. So we're going to go elementary, and the credentials, we know they end up with an associate's in art. If there was another option, you could have added that under the credential for elementary education and selected which one. And you can select multiple credentials. So that's what we have there. We do not need to do a SIP. That's not required. And for this component, prior to this, you needed to input the math course and the English course that was the starting course for this. That is not required anymore. I don't need to look at that. We don't need to know that. So you can just put in an NA and an NA here and create it. And that's what we've got. So we only have, though, elementary education. So I want to add that secondary. So I'm going to add the post-secondary program. Again, I'm going to look at Lincoln Land, the program name, secondary, and the credential essential associate in arts. This is going to be my NA. This is going to be an NA, and create. So now we have both of our options as it relates to education at Lincoln Land. And again, there can be multiple credentials for those. In this case, just so you know how I gathered this information, if I jump over to this page, this is Lincoln Land. This is what they have as far as when I typed in education. So education opportunities and what I'm building out for this program, what courses that we're going to offer a tie with it. They tie with these two programs. So that's how I determined that these were going to be the plans that we were building. So now this is green because it's telling me exactly where. So when we do a review of this, we do take a look at what that program is, especially when it comes to the pathway courses. So if I needed to, I could go to, for a review, Lincoln Land Community College and take a look at what their program is. I would expect that program title to be exactly what you've titled it. And as you can see here, elementary education, associates in arts. So that's how we would find that. And then I can use that to determine if there's a question on these, the pathway courses. And it also helps for your planning as well to have this information. So now we go into the pathway courses, which are those courses that are directly tied to the career, to this career pathway of education. So I'm going to hit Add Pathway Course. Course name. You can search for courses. So I just hit the search and you can see all of the courses. However, this has not been updated since, I believe, 2019, 2018, and we do have new course codes. My recommendation would be to not use the search option here, and instead go to, and I've got this up on the top, our state course catalog. I'm going to just go up to the top real fast so you can see exactly what that looks like. So this is my recommendation for you to use for these courses. And you can see that it has it listed by the page, what they start. And if you click there, you can get to those two-digit titles here, or the two-digit codes here, put you into whatever category it is. So anything that's human service is going to start with a 19. Anything that's fine and performing arts will start with an 05, etc. I have used the search function as well to look for key things. And this plays a role when we're identifying these pathway courses. So we'll start here. And I know that the first course that we're going to offer, so remember, you need at least 2 years or 4 semesters of coursework. There is some opportunity with career centers and so forth that some of that work could happen over a condensed period of time. So maybe it is looking like just 1 year of work, but they're actually receiving the amount of credits that they need to cover the 2 years. So that's an option for you as well. When you are completing this, you need to think of pathway courses that are directly related to the career. I would not want to see gen ed courses here, or graduation requirement courses, a listing of every single course that the student needs in order to graduate. That's not the intent of this. This is just for those career courses that the students would take, which would show that they have expertise within that career field. So that's the way you need to think of your pathway courses. And also remember that there has to be an opportunity, or the students need to earn at least 6 early college credits within those 2 years or 4 semesters of work. So I know that the course name that we're going to offer, which is not going to be dual credit at all, so we'll just keep this as a general one, and it's just psychology. So so when it comes to the code, again, I went here, and I know it, but it falls under the social sciences and history. So if I go there, I can scroll through them all, or I can, again, find it here. I know that that's the code, so I'm cheating a little. You could just search for psychology, but having the course description will become important here. So that's the course code that you need. You could actually, I think, we'll try it. Copy and paste right there. The local code is up to you. If you have a different code for that course, I know that some schools may call that, something else. As far as the local code, that's your option. If you want to put that in there. So if you're printing this out or showing the students, they may not understand at all what this ISB code is, but they may know what that local code is. So you can put that in there for them. The SIP code is not. You do not need that. It's not required. Course description is required. So there's 2 options here. You can take this, and that's what I'm going to do for us. Actually, I'm just going to do copy that and drop it right into here. Or if you have a course description within your course catalog, you can copy that and put that in there as well. So either way, but that is a requirement. The number of semesters, this is just 1 semester. The typical grade is 11th graders, and it's offered as a regular period course, and it's high school. And I'm going to say that it's required. It's your option if you want to do required or recommended. It would just be that for this, actually, I'm going to change that. I'm going to make this recommend, and I'll show you why. So we have all this information filled out. Create. So if we go down here, we've got this. So the other option, keeping in mind that the students need to complete 2 years or 4 semesters. So the reason I chose not to put required for psychology is because there's another option for them that would still fall within this pathway course, and that is sociology. So again, we have that, the ISB code. I'm going to pop over here. I've already looked this up. Otherwise, you can just type in sociology, so I know the code already. So again, I'm moving a little bit there. And to get my description, so there's my course code that I can copy and plop into here. This would be a good, conversation. So whoever it is that's uploading your SIS information, sometimes it's a counselor, or at least they're providing the codes for them. Sometimes it's a person within the district that's dedicated to do SIS uploads. This code would need to match what's being uploaded for the student's transcript. So that it's very important that you have that code correctly identified. If there were to be a review of the information for a student who's received an endorsement, we would look at the ISB code that's provided in the pathway to ensure that the student has taken those courses. So in this case, I'm going to make this a recommended as well. So I would expect to see, for someone who received this education pathway endorsement, I would expect to see either sociology or psychology as part of that coursework for them to show that they've completed those 4 semesters or 2 years. So again, I'm going to leave the local code alone there. I'm going to hop in here again, and I'm going to copy this and drop it right there. This, again, is a 1 semester. It's not early college credit. I will show you how to do those. And we're going to make this a 12th grade. It's a regular period course, and it's the high school and a recommend. So that's all complete. And for example, if I didn't put anything here, it's not going to let me create that. So you do have to identify those asterisk components. Okay, so now we've got those 2. So now, as you can see, I've got 2 courses listed there, and I'm still with the X. So 2 things are happening here. I do not have the number of semesters required because it's keeping total of that. And I have not identified any early college credit, which is also something that it will tally. So now we're going to go ahead and add those. And these courses I have figured out based on these coursework here within Lincoln Land. So if we take a look at secondary education, again, these are conversations you're having with your community college so that you know this program that I'm doing as a test is going to be based on some dual credit courses. So I would need to see recommend course sequence, what they allow and what they are requiring in order for a student to receive that associate's in arts, and what we could offer to our students through dual credit, which they would approve for us. So that's how you can have evidence of showing that this is required for that degree. So if I go here, I'm going to add a pathway course, and the course name is going to be Intro to. That's just what we're going to call it. And if we look at the ISB code, that I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you that I've looked this up. I have that, but I'm going to use a different description this time. So this is called Foundations to Teaching, and you can see that is there with the description, and so that's the course code that we're going to use for this. Everything's the same. I'm going to get back to the course description. So this is a 1 semester course. It is early college credit. And when you click on that, it provides you with the options for what type of early college credit. So in our case, it's dual credit. And only dual credit is going to require you to do the partner. If I did our AP, IB, I guess articulated placement would also have your partner school because it would say, well, if they're going to take this course, what does it lead to? What's it going to count as for that for that student. AP does not have that, so it's these last two. So in our case, it's a dual credit. The college course name. So here's where it's important to have this information. So we'll jump back over to Lincoln Land, and I know that it's this. It's the Introduction to Teacher Education. So EDU 201. And they call it Introduction to Teacher Education. Let's see if I can just cheat this a little bit and put it here. And the number of credits, if you click on this, it does a pop-up. And it's 4 credits. So I'm going to jump back over here. I'm going to do 4. And I'm going to use their description. I won't put this, but this has this on there. And I'm going to use that description here. Now you can use the course description, again, that's within your course guide, but in theory, if this is a dual credit or dual enrollment type situation, that syllabus, that information about it is going to be very similar to what the community college is asking for, or if not identical. So that's why I chose to use that description. So we have all that. So typical grade is going to be 12th grade. It's offered as a regular period course. So your other options are block or extended time. So if a student is over at the Career Center or if they're at the community college taking a course, you could do extended time, meaning that it's taking up 2 hours, for example, of their period. So this is a regular period course, and the provider is the high school. So in this case, since it's dual credit, you have the high school teacher that is teaching this. So that's why it's high school. If the students were going to the community college and the grade was coming from the community college, it would be college university. And again, Career Center, that they're offering the course. That's where the students are taking the course. And so it doesn't matter where the students are taking the course, it's just that they're having that opportunity. So for this, it's high school, and this one is required. This has to be part of their sequence of the 2 years, 4 semesters, because it has those college credits that they need to have. So this looks good. We're going to create that. And as you can see, we're getting there. We're getting there with the coursework, but we still need more. So we're going to add another. Same thing. This one, however, is going to be diversity in education. And the ISB code hopefully it will go. Yep, diversity in education. It's right there. Pop it in here. I'm going to wait on, again, local code is optional. Don't need the zip code. I'm going to wait on the course description here. This is a 1 semester class. It's typically 12th grade. Oh, I forgot to hit that. It's a dual credit. So here, if we take a look over here, back to Lincoln Land, it's right here, diversity of schools and society. So it's 4 credits, and I'm going to grab all of this as the description. Put this up here. And the college course name is Diversity of Schools and Society. Okay. And it would be helpful if I could put in the right there. It's EDU 220, I believe. We'll go back and check that. Yep. And it is 4 hours. And this is a, we're just going to make this one an extended time, but it's still happening at the high school. So, and it is required because, again, this is going to be part of their pathway. So now you can see that our pathway courses are valid because it is totaling, it's got the 2 classes that total at least 6 of the hours needed. And then the students have the option here to take either psychology or sociology. But we want to add another class to this that is going to be required so that they have Intro to Teaching, Diversity in Education. Those are required their senior year. Their junior year, they're going to have one required education-focused course, and then the option to take either psychology or sociology to balance out their 4 years. So we're going to add one more. This is a classroom management course that we have available, and so actually I'm just going to show you. Now I'm going to have to search for it. I went past it. I'm just using my search. There. So we have classroom management, and here's our code. You're going to put the code here, and we're going to copy the description. Now, if I try to copy this, it's going to pull all that. So I'm just going to copy this first part, just so we've got something in there, because you cannot submit this until you can't enter this or save this until you have something in there. This is a 1 semester course. It's not early college credit. We want them to take it their junior year. And again, you can switch these around. This is just for a test example, because now that I'm thinking about it, this probably would be more of after that intro to education. But I'll show you how we can change that. So this is regular period, and the provider is the high school, and it's required. So now we're going to create that. So I want to change this around and make this a little more functioning. So I'm going to edit this one and say that the grade really should be 11th, and then save that. So now we're still good. If I were to take away, and I'll show you. No, I really don't want. I'll show you. We can just make this. If I take this away and save it, look, we're going to go back to the red, because it does not identify the fact that these courses have the dual credit or have any type of early college credit. So that's important to have there. Now, if I went in here and took psychology and made that AP and saved it, now I'm green. But if that's the case, and this is going to be used towards your early college credit within this pathway, you would need to make this required. The students would have to take psychology and diversity in education. So that's how that works. So I'm just going to leave this alone now because we're valid, but you can see the ways that works. So you can list out, so for example, I said in this case, they could take either psychology or sociology in order to meet the criteria. So you can list out if you have additional courses in there that would be relevant to the pathway, that could be like an either or for them, that you can list those in here too. I'm just giving you examples of 5 different courses and showing you how you have to have some that are required, because those are the ones that would definitely be necessary within that pathway. Related electives, there's no green or red X, because that is an option. It's an optional input for you if you want. If you would like the students to identify or have some information regarding, well, you know, I have an open class, what would be relevant to my field or to the career that I'm interested in, you could add in here, well, psychology could be in here. You could do art appreciation. You could do public speaking for the electives. Those are all options for you. And it functions pretty much the same way as your pathway courses. I'll just show you that. The course name, the code, the course description, and it's asking you the same information here. So that's just an option for electives if you'd like to put that in there for the students to see. Okay, transitional support, which we're now calling academic readiness, does have the X here. So in order to fulfill this component, we're doing something a little different with the upcoming platform. You will not have to identify the non-remedial courses that the students need to take in order to show their academic readiness. Because we're using the college and career ready indicators as the fulfillment of this component, there's not a need to list these out anymore. So there's a way to, you can, if you choose, put in transitional math and the name and fill out all of this information if you would like to do that. And you can list transitional English. You could list early college credit English. You could list the early college credit math. You could say none for the fact that they beat that, but what is the name of the course that would show that they're ready for non-remedial. But what I will say is that because you're using the College and Career Ready indicator for the academic readiness, there's not a need because there's multiple ways for them to show academic readiness. It's not just by taking a course. So this is not a component that needs to be input. It's not anything that ISB is going to review. We would just look at whether or not the student has met that criteria for academic readiness through either the taking of the dual credit English that's identified within the rules for the CCRI. So for this component, you can put in, I'm pretty sure, we'll fool around and we'll see. I think what I did is you could just do transitional math, course name not applicable, 1 semester, and here you can just put the same thing in there, and you can just say that and then create. And you can see now that just by having 1 course in there, it's valid. So if you choose to list out all of the courses, that's fine, and it'll make it valid. But if you just want to at least have something in there and then make it valid, you can just go the simplistic way of putting NA in most of that information for it to save. So that's how transitional support, and again, that will be retitled as academic readiness for us. So now we're in the last part, which is the professional learning experience. So we're going to start with just career exploration, and we're just going to say that it is a job shadow. And it's, again, career exploration, and this happens in, say, 10th and 11th grade. And here you would put in a description of that job shadow, what that looks like. We'll just again, I'm just making this up on here. So, and the employer, that again, this is going to drop down your employer list. So you could pick, if there's a school, we'll just do that. I'm just picking random, and then create that. And you can add an employer too. So if we do know what elementary school and it's not here as an employer, you could add that employer and it would take you to that. So we'll do create that. Well, I'm going to save this pathway just again, once we're back up to the top, scroll down to the bottom, and you can see we're not done yet because we still have the X's, because it is looking to see if we have identified 2 career exploration. So we'll do this, and we'll do education career fair, and you can put in whatever it is the description of that is. Make sure that they have those connections with industry partners for this, or they're reflecting on what they're doing if it is a career fair. And this happens, say, in 9th and 10th grade as an option for them. And I'm going to leave employer blank because there really isn't employers tied to that. You can list multiple, however. And now you can see that there's a green check mark for the career exploration. One thing I'm going to show you here on that the career fair, when it comes to employer, I've been asked, can you put in more than 1? Yes, you can. So again, I've clicked on 1. I'll come down. So if you want to list out all the ones that were there that participated, you could do that. So, and then we'll save that again. Okay, I'm going to scroll back down to the bottom. Now we're going to look at team-based challenges. So team-based challenge, we're going to call design a room, just for an example. And for the description, we have components that are required for a quality team-based challenge. It's going to be within the new guidebooks that have all of that information for you. We have done some training. We're going to continue to do training on that. So you will have that at your fingertips. So you have to include the authentic problem or challenge that's identified in collaboration, with the community or business partner. then the students need to interact in a meaningful way with a mentor or someone that is other than the assigned classroom teacher, and that could be for feedback to the students as they're going. They need to identify one pathway technical competency, one cross-sector essential employability competency. So that's talking about those essential skills that are necessary. They need to work in a group, and then there's a final product or a presentation on the outcome of that challenge. So that's all going to be in your description to have that done. And then, so maybe this occurs in that classroom management course. So we'll put 12th grade, and it can, you know, and you can put that in the description. You can add that in there. Occurs in the classroom management course. But you would still need to identify what it is that challenge is going to do. What is that question or, excuse me, problem that they're going to explore. We're going to create that. Now again, scroll down. And we've got one there. We're going to add another. Let's do and so they're going to do some type of team-based challenge based on the needs of the students for the first day of school, say incoming 8th graders or whatnot. So again, this would need to include all components, including identification of skills. So that's how that works, and they're going to do that. They're 11th grade. It could be multiple. So, and this is something that's independent, maybe for them, or it actually is going to occur in the career, you know, some course that they're taking, so that you can have that information in there. And then we'll create that. So now we've got the career exploration is valid and the team-based challenge is valid. So now all we need is the career development experience. So this is where you have your hours. And you notice the difference here for everything else is that the minimum hours required is here. So if we put in 40, for example, and we'll just call this, even though it's not really student teaching, that's just what we're going to call it for now. And it will be, you know, because we did notice, if you remember from the description of the courses, that there were a certain amount of hours there for that, but we're going to put student teaching, and students are placed in the elementary and high school, or maybe middle school, whatever you want to be, something along those lines. Again, I'm just abbreviating that description. This is their 12th grade. Here's where you could pick the schools for the employer if you wish, so that you know that they're working with. Yes, you have a teacher at the school that is overseeing them and their work, like the workplace experience, the career development experience. They're overseeing it, but they are still working with another teacher that's going to provide that feedback for them. And we're going to create this now. And remember, I only put in 40 hours. So it's going to show that we're not there yet. So maybe they have 40 hours that they do their 12th grade year. And then we're going to add, because this is allowable. You can have two different opportunities. It's just that one has to be, it can be, you know, no less than 20 hours that they can use. So you could do 30 and 30, or in this case, we're going to do 40 and 20. So this will be that. And we'll put in whatever that's going to be. Again, it's career development, and we'll put 20, and that occurs when they're in 11th grade. And now we have this all complete. So now you can go up and you see that all of these are complete, that they're all checked off, and we're going to save it here. And then we're going to, then we're good to go, because we've actually built out this entire pathway, and we've had the post-secondary programs, we've got the pathway courses, we chose not to do electives, we've got transitional support, and our professional learning experience is all complete. So we are good to go with this. We've saved it. I'm going to X out of this, go back over here, and now if we hit the education test, even though it says 06, because remember I just went back to this page, you can see that we are good with all of this. Everything is green on that plan information. I'm going to approve it. And now I have the option to submit the plan to ISB. So that's where I'm going to hit that. And it's now in status is submitted for approval. So when you go back to your plans, you can see that this has been submitted. And when that happens, then that triggers it on ISB's end, and we take a look at those plans and we get those approved, or we would potentially send it back and just say you need to add a little more information for this. But that is an overview of the BWR platform. I hope this has been beneficial. I know that we've kind of ran through this, but just so you could see how everything works. Thank you.